Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, we're diving into growing a home service business from scratch through digital marketing with Brien Gearin. Thanks so much for joining us today, Brien.
Phil, I'm super stoked to be here. I've been looking forward to this, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Brian's the founder and CEO of Ricochet Digital Marketing, specialized in marketing solutions for residential service providers, including HVAC, plumbing, and electrical contractors. After starting as a Facebook ads marketer, he pivoted to focus exclusively on home service businesses, developing expertise in Google Business Profile optimization, PPC management, email marketing, and PR for the trades. Brian's also a podcast host and course creator who helps service businesses scale from startup to six-figure revenue through proven digital marketing strategies. So, with that, Brian, you started in lawn care of some capacity. Can you tell us a little about how you got into this and what you were doing before?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, back in like middle school, junior high, high school, I loved mowing my parents' lawn. And it turned into my neighbors saying, "Hey, we're going on vacation. You mow our lawn while we're gone." And I'd be like, "Sure, yeah, it'd be awesome." And then it turned into, "Hey, I have a handful of neighbors who are like, I don't want to mow my lawn. Do you want to do that for me?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely." And it was, it was all money under the table, cash, cash money, homie, and it would go in my drawer and eventually to the bank. But for a while there, I was probably doing anywhere from 10 to 20 lawns through spring, summer, and fall, all the way through high school and into college. When I was in probably eighth grade, I bought my neighbor's old John Deere, the LX 188 off him, and I would mosey on down the road every day mowing lawns with my blower and my string trimmer alongside. And that business grew into also doing leaf cleanups and lawn cleanups in the spring and the fall, and just more and more things that I was able to charge for. And at the time, man, I was an entrepreneur and didn't know it. And I loved it because I would mow lawns in the morning and I'd play baseball at night. Baseball is my sport.
Nice.
And it was great. So, and then I continued doing that through college. But yeah, started in there. And I also worked at a lawn care company for almost 3 years, about 12 years ago. Learned a ton about small business and especially about working in the trades and, pushing the seeders and the aerators and the spreaders and got a full crash course in the trades, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. I think it's something to be said about people that have worked in the trades that then can help people that know home service, which there's a big disconnect. It's not just like pushing money, like monthly recurring revenue. It's like, no, like I
Hmm.
get it. And I've been in your shoes and I appreciate that. So something that's unique about your story, a lot of people that listen to this, they're going to be business owners 1 to 10 million, but also people that are just starting out or growing to $1 million. And a lot of times I get so many questions about Facebook ads, Facebook ads, Facebook ads, because they're cheap leads, easy to set them up for the most part, and you can get them. You started as Facebook ads, but pre-show we were talking, you kind of been pivoting away from that in some capacity. Can you talk a little bit about like how it used to be, where it's at now, who should be doing Facebook ads, any strategy on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I might sound contrarian as a guy who owns a marketing company that does use Facebook ads for some of our clients, and especially as someone who started their career at
Yeah.
learning that first marketing technical skill of Facebook ads. Facebook ads are a fantastic place to reach a lot of people and do it accurately, for the people that will take the action that you want them to take, which in most cases is submitting their name, email, and phone number as a lead and maybe a qualifying question. Um, and you're able to do that for the least amount of money. The biggest thing about Facebook ads, and just about every client we've had will say that these leads are difficult or they're tough or they stink, right? Now, that is not 100% true. That is everybody's scapegoat for typically having infrastructure problems or follow up problems or sales problems, right?
That's right.
So I will never say that a Facebook lead is inherently garbage, because it's not. You can drive a lot of lead volume. You can accurately find the people that need your service. But the difference between a Facebook lead and, say, a lead that comes in through a Google ad or through an LSA or through your Google business profile, the difference is that you pick this Facebook lead off the couch at 10 o'clock at night where they are adjacent to their problem for the most part, where they say, you know what, I do need I need to fix that landscaping, or we do need a new lawn care company, or, a new paver, roof, or whatever. And then they submit their information. Whereas if I'm somebody who's actively searching for a new roof, I've got a hole in my roof, I need it fixed, and I find you on Google through your profile, an LSA, or a Google ad, I am problem aware, and chances are I'm trying to get you on the phone right now.
That's right.
Whereas on Facebook, they're like, that might be nice. And then as the business, it's up to you to follow up quickly, follow up persistently, and work that Facebook lead. They're just in two different places on the customer journey. So starting my business with Facebook ads was a fantastic skill to have and to choose and to grow my business, because it led to me realizing there's a lot more gaps in these business owners' businesses, especially on the marketing side, than just Facebook. So that led me to seeing the importance of Google business profiles, the importance of a great website, whether it's just a starter one-page website or a full build-out. The importance of Google advertising, the importance of Google local service ads, the importance of email newsletter marketing to stay in retention, or retention marketing with your current customers. And we started slowly adding these different services over the years of me being in business. And since then, we've grown into, now we're doing PR. Like, we're helping our customers get on podcasts. We're helping them be more involved in their community. We're helping them build their brand so that people know them and come to them, rather than just throwing money at advertising. So a lot that goes into it, but man, starting with Facebook ads, it was a great place to do that, because yes, you can reach the most people for the least amount of dollars, but you have to be very targeted in what you're doing.
Yeah, so people that are just starting out, I talk to a lot of guys like this. It's like, I'm just gonna run Facebook ads, and then all the Facebook ads are price shoppers or they're difficult customers, which, to your point, they're gonna be top of the funnel people that are not on Google saying, hey, do you need this? I need to find the best company for this. They're literally just swiping through saying, okay, maybe how much is this? What is this? And that's why it
Right.
takes a little bit more to get them across the finish line through your sales funnel. But people just write it off because they get these warm leads from Google. And so, but the problem is that you have to build a reputation to get those warm leads off Google, where Facebook is
Yep.
just pretty easy to just like set a budget and get to it. I do want to hit on this PR piece, because I think a lot of people, home service businesses, they want to get on stuff. They want to get on TV. They want to get on other things. Can you talk about, one, the benefits, and then two, maybe some action of like how people could do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will tie into where SEO and local SEO especially is headed. I was actually just on a webinar with a former head of Google's business profile division, where it was his job to grow essentially the importance and the uptake of Google business profile. And they're discussing how SEO is certainly not dead, it's just changing. And what that means is Google is starting to focus on your credibility across all realms, especially digital, of course. But that means your website, your citation, so where you're listed in other directories. It means your Google business profile, most importantly. It means where you are being found across different entities. So not just backlinks anymore, but actually being, oh, Google saw that you were on Channel 9 last week talking about specializing in hardscapes, right? Or you got interviewed, you got mentioned on the local ABC affiliates blog or their website or their actual news channel. If you have a YouTube channel, Google is crawling your YouTube to, and especially I'm mentioning YouTube because Google owns YouTube
Mm-hmm.
and they want you to be users of YouTube.
Yep.
So have a channel, just post, basic videos of what you're doing, or, talk about your journey or talk about your actual services, the things you sell. Google is looking for this credibility. And when you're also being shown on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because you guessed it, whether it was a podcast that has 2 followers or 2 million, Google is going to realize, and the search engines are going to realize that, hey, this guy has authority, right? Or this girl has authority in their space. And Google picks up on that and it helps you rank. Now, in turn, that helps you in your community. You now become the go-to guy or gal in your business because more and more people see you. They see you in that position of authority. They hear you on podcasts. They hear you on the news, or they see you on the local, well-known publication, right? So the more places you are, the better it is to build your authority and your credibility. And Google, and especially, nowadays with their algorithms, it is trained to find this authority, because Google's sole existence when it comes to search is to send searchers to the best possible option to help me as a searcher solve my problem. And speaking specifically to local service businesses here. So as it comes to more PR, we're encouraging and we're helping our customers do things like get on podcasts, start their YouTube channel. And obviously the things we already manage for them being their profile, their citations and directories across the internet, building their website so that it has all the necessary structured data, metadata, technical data, all the things that provide a positive user experience when you land on the website, even though Google is shifting more towards zero click-through conversions, where the importance is kind of shifting towards your profile as opposed to your website. That does not mean that your website is not important anymore. It just means that it's even more important for Google to understand who you are, where you are, and what you do. So yeah, a couple examples being getting on podcasts, being featured in local publications or local news channels, having your YouTube channel, even if you don't like, if you brand new YouTube channel and you have 0 views and you do for the next 6 months, that's okay because Google sees that you are there, you're alive and you're well, and you're talking about your area of expertise and you're going out of your way to share it. Because so many small businesses, they are just caught in the everyday, right? Most small business owners under 7 figures are probably running around doing most of their work, right? Like even if they have a team, they're managing their team. They're probably out there doing 10, 12-hour days. They're not focusing on the things that are on their business as opposed to in it. So the more opportunity you have to do that, that should kind of give you a kick in the butt to get these things in gear so you can focus on those higher level things, being featured in places, talking places, being on podcasts, producing your content, as opposed to actually doing the day to day.
Yeah, that's right. I would say as far as the AI search shift that's coming, like what you're saying on this webinar that you were on, if you were to go to ChatGPT, Google AI mode, and search for your service in your area, it's going to give you a list and then ask it how it came up with those results. One of the things that it's going to say is exactly what you're saying is we went and we found, have you been featured on this stuff? Your authority. It's not just
Yep.
citations and backlinks. It's literally like, are you authority in this space? And the biggest thing, there's like a land grab that's happening for a lot of businesses out there that is not just competing on thousands of reviews anymore. There's also this other side to it, which we were talking about, which I completely agree with. So can you go a little bit deeper on the getting on these podcasts or these news? Like, are you just cold emailing them? Are you calling them? Like, how are you getting people featured on this stuff?
So a lot of it is through our network. So myself as a podcast host at Millionaire
Yeah.
University, pretty large podcast. So there's a lot of connections that I have, and my business partner as well.
Mm,
He is uber connected. The both of us have a lot of connections in the media and the podcast space. So
okay.
for us, it's more of about who is our client, what is his industry or what is her industry, and we zone in on where we believe they need to be. And
Mm,
then we first and foremost go to our network and we find the people in our network who can connect us to the right shows or the right
mm,
publications or the right media outlets. And then we take the necessary steps from there. So first and foremost, it's our network, which is we've worked many years to cultivate
yeah.
that. My partner, he's a little bit older than me, not too much older. I'm not going to out you, Rob, but he's got a ton of experience and a ton of connections that we rely on. Outside of that, we have our internal team who works on outreach. So if we identify a show that I don't have a connection with the host or I haven't been a guest on or I don't have a degree connection to this person, we send out we have our team create an email outreach sequence that we put out there. And it's
Yep.
something where, um,
It's how we got
we
connected. It's how we got connected, bro,
yeah,
actually.
exactly. Right. So
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with cold outreach
No,
these
no,
days,
no,
right?
no.
As long as you have your messaging down and it's written well and it's coming from a place of generosity and
Yep.
providing value. Those are the types of things that we put together for our clients, and that's more specifically for media and podcasting. Yeah, it's having the network is the key, but then also having the skills to put together, and that's part of what we do for our clients is build out their messaging and help them understand their messaging that we've created for them, because that goes just as far for them. They have to know their messaging too, as opposed to just us handling their outbound and inbound.
Yeah. So the strategy that you did to contact me was I was featured on Upflip podcast. Then someone reached out and said, "Hey, you're featured on Upflip. Maybe you'd want to come on here." But for home service businesses, I think the strategy it sounds like is you're a lawn care company, so let's find the top 10 lawn care podcasts and say, "Hey, such and such client is a lawn care company. They would love to have them feature on your show." Blah blah blah, and people would eat that up because they want other lawn care
Oh
companies
yeah,
to come and talk about lawn care.
for sure. Well, and here's the thing: like the perfect strategy for that is just like you said. If let's use lawn care as the example. If you're a business owner, you're local. Let's say you're in just an average size Midwest town, right? There's going to be a podcast, whether it's in your area, nearby, or anywhere across the country, that is going to be featuring lawn care. And I guarantee you, there's plenty that want to feature a lawn care business owner. So either go find adjacent shows, or if you find a show, go to whether you're in Spotify or Apple, go to the similar shows, right? They're going to be listed right nearby. Go through and find shows that are similar. And my best advice for this, especially if you're brand new and haven't really been familiar with podcast guesting before, is start with smaller shows. And you can tell they're a smaller show if they have less reviews, or, less star reviews on Spotify. You can kind of see through their, based on how many episodes they release, you can kind of tell what size they are, right?
Yep.
Reach out to those shows, because I guarantee you, as a podcast host, so at MU, we have a ton of people reaching out. We have to screen and filter, but if I were a much smaller podcast host, I'd be thrilled, because I need to produce content. And if I've got people reaching out to be on my show,
Sure.
yeah, I'm gonna want to hear you out and probably have you on the show. So just look for shows in your specific area. And there's a website, Phil, I'm blanking on the name.
Pod pitch.
Podpitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Use that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Go ham on it, right?
Yeah.
Just do your searching, make a list of the top 10 shows you think would be a great fit. And then don't be afraid to hit the email and start doing cold outreach. If you can't find an email, go to their website and submit a lead form on their website, and put it together a nice message that says who you are, where you are, what you do. And another recommendation, have a few ideas for topics that you would like to cover on that episode, because now the more work that you're taking off the plate of the host or the assistant, whoever's, fielding those inquiries, the better off you're going to be in getting a chance to get on the show.
That's right. Okay, so let's summarize this. AI search, or search in general, is shifting. And one of the big shifts is in PR, or recognition and authority building. One of the ways that you can demonstrate authority to these platforms is by getting featured in podcasts, or just in general creating content, which is a lot of what I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways to get featured on podcasts is there's a tool like Podpitch, which it will do a lot of this outreach for you for a couple $100 a month. Or you can go and find the host on Instagram, LinkedIn, and cold reach out to them. But make sure you have some ideas of the things that you want to talk about. And you could have an assistant or someone help you with this. But the whole goal is that you're building authority and credibility for your business that then Google or ChatGPT or whatever is going to recognize and then show you in your business.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. And you mentioned Google AI mode. I actually just did a video to my email list yesterday explaining AI mode, and just doing a Loom video showing how AI mode works and how it will be working in the future. Because right now it's optional. Eventually it's going to be replacing search, right? Search as we know it, at least. And it listed, when I searched pest control Cincinnati in my area here, I was just testing it out. The first results, it said basically this is what pest control is. And then it gave a recommendation of the top companies in your area near you. Yep. And it had the top 4 or 5 results, and it was all essentially based on these companies' credibility. The first one was the one that's been around here since like the 30s. And they had over 2,000 reviews on Google. And I'm sure their website has been around forever. So they have probably a really high domain score, domain authority. And that's why they were number 1. So as a searcher, Google is telling me, go call these guys. These are the best ones. That's right. And if they don't answer or you don't like them, here's option 2, 3, and 4. That's the future of search.
Yep, I agree. I want to shift a little bit, because you mentioned about messaging, and I think a lot of people get stuck on that. And you said that you do help with messaging. So can you walk through like a framework, or like how you help people with their messaging?
Yeah. So it's, obviously it's custom to every client we have, but your messaging is one of the most important things that needs to be drilled down and taken as Bible, as for you as the owner, for you as your teammates, everybody who works with you needs to be bought in on your messaging. And messaging can be very challenging, especially in the trades businesses, because not everybody comes from, like having training in, higher level training in writing or in communication. Especially in the trades, we're all very skilled craftsmen, right? You're the best at mowing lawns. You're the best at doing hardscapes. You're the best at roofing, the best at paving, whatever it is. But the messaging is extremely important, because that is the first thing that a potential prospect and your current customers will see and be able to use and decipher whether or not they want to go with you. So these things can be as simple as how you present your service. How clearly can I tell exactly who you are, where you are, and what you do, right? Now, this plays a lot into your web development and how you handle your website, but I need to know that you handle lawn care, that you're in Cincinnati, and you guys are reputable, right? So this goes from all the way from your website to your profile to how you interact with people. If you are featured somewhere, what you say about yourself, what you say about your service, how you say you care for your clients, being able to show people how you do it, right? Like you said, having content that's prepared that backs up the fact that you say we're the best lawn care company in Cincinnati. Okay, well, as a searcher or somebody viewing you, I'm going to want to see that, right? I want to see the examples of how well you've done, and not just have you tell me about them. So this goes social media, Google, YouTube, excuse me, video content,
Yeah.
anything that's marketing related, any marketing materials. If you go into trade shows or home and garden shows, all your marketing material, if it's easy to digest, it's easy to read, and it's super simple to understand exactly what you can do and how you can solve my problem as a consumer, then you're going to be killing the game. But it's easier said than done for sure. And even with our clients, we have a lot of iterations on our messaging because we might put together our, the messaging in the first go, and it might be a miss, right? It might not resonate as much as we want it to. But that's why we continually iterate and ideate on new messages, whether it's taglines or in your invoicing, in your descriptions, how making sure that everybody is aware and that your communication is top notch with your clients, because that's what sticks in the mind of a client is the fact that, wow, these guys not only they called me and updated me on the project consistently, in the invoice everything was broken down and it had line item descriptions on it. It wasn't just numbers or interior lingo, like company lingo that I wouldn't know. But how many times, Phil, have you seen an invoice that comes from a home service provider? It's got a bunch of lingo on it, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, is that important? Should I ask you about it? Now
Yeah.
you're creating friction points. So I know I'm going on a tangent here about messaging, but
No.
it's just so darn important to have hammered out. And if I can leave one recommendation on that, it's the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. The more simple your messaging is, the less convoluted it is, and the more friction points you will remove from your process of people working with you.
Yeah, there's a really good book on this called Building a Story Brand. And he talks a lot about that you're not the hero, the customer's the hero.
Mm-hmm.
And the customer has a problem, and you have to position yourself as the guide that has an actual game plan for them. And a lot of businesses, you go to their website, like number one tree care company, and which is fine. But are you the hero or are you the guide? And how do you position yourself as the hero? And I think messaging a lot of times gets missed because people think of themselves as the hero because we come in and save the day. We solve these people's problem, but we're not the hero. One
Yep.
thing that you mentioned about the invoices getting a little convoluted and very descriptive, what we found to work best is if you record a Loom video, LOOM, and then go through your estimates and send that along when you send your estimate out. It will help explain exactly what you want that invoice to say and answer any questions for the customers. I think
Yeah,
that's
dude.
a huge area of opportunity for most businesses.
Oh, for sure. I use Loom all the time in my own business. When I do monthly reports for my clients, I hop on a Loom and I walk them through the report rather than just automatically sending them our dashboard and say,
Yeah,
hey, here's your monthly report. I go through and they see my face and I talk about what's going on and I
yeah,
address each
so good.
point. Now, I'll hit the things that I think are most important. And if they have questions on some of the other items, they're welcome to ask. But it just makes such a difference in that communication tactic because you are communicating or you are connecting with your people on a regular basis, and doing a screen share and walking them through it. Just at a minimum, it shows them that you really care about what you're doing for them. And I think home service businesses that would do something like that, man, I would sing their praises
Exactly.
till kingdom come.
Yeah. So quick summary on this. If you are a home service business and your digital marketing company is just sending you a random dashboard and you have no idea what you're looking at with clicks and impressions and click through rates and cost per clicks and blah, 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 and they don't actually take the time to explain it to you, that's a red flag and it's a problem. You need to work with a company that actually cares and is going to explain this stuff to you. So many times it's just, this is what it is, but you need someone that's actually going to break it down and be on your team, which I think is very important. You also
Hmm.
have this community, the Millionaire University podcast and community. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Millionaire University, I'm a partner in the business over there. It was originally founded by a couple named Justin and Tara Williams,
Okay.
out of California. They were scrappy entrepreneurs, started selling satellite dishes door to door many years ago. Got into real estate, ended up being able to flip 100 homes a year out in California without
Wow.
even hardly being present at closings. Turned that into an online education platform, if you will, teaching their systems and processes. Sold that for buku bucks. And then their oldest son was turning 18 a couple years ago, and they thought, man, we kind of ruined college for him. We also, higher education in this country is broken. Doesn't make sense to go into so much debt to learn things you might not even need, especially if you're not, going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer.
Yeah.
And they said, wouldn't it be cool if there was a school for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs?
Mm.
And that's how Millionaire University was born. We still want to be a school that teaches people how to go make money and live in abundance, as opposed to going into debt, not having a plan, just doing what the man told you to do, right?
Yeah.
And the impetus was and still is the podcast. So we bring on top entrepreneurs such as yourself, Phil, to not only share their story, but talk about their business and talk about entrepreneurship in general and how they do it, how they got into it, talking about the pitfalls, the struggles, talking about the highs, the lows, everything in between. And we want to make sure that we are inspiring and providing actionable advice to the next generation of entrepreneurs, whether they are, a 35-year-old guy or gal that's sitting in an office and wants to get out and start a business, or, a 16, 17, 18-year-old who's considering college or not, right? We
Yeah.
want to make sure that people know there's other options out there, and ownership is, for me and so many others like me, it's the key to the happiness that you want in life, and the financial freedom, the general freedom that you want in life. So that's how MU was born, and we've got one program out there right now, but our big, hairy, audacious goal is to kind of be maybe even a physical school someday in different parts
Wow.
of the country, where the professors, quote unquote, are entrepreneurs and they
Wow.
are running businesses and they're teaching courses at the school. So we have many different iterations. It
Yeah.
changes every
Cool.
month, but that's kind of the big impetus for it. And I started working with them almost 2 years ago when I was interviewed by Justin on the podcast. I was episode 29, so one of the first
Oh,
few on
wow.
there. And I was talking about starting and growing a digital marketing agency from scratch. And he and I stayed in contact for a few months afterwards. We got along really well, realized we had a lot in common. And he asked me if I'd be willing to come aboard at MU to help them get their marketing off the ground and also be a podcast host and make a
Wow.
couple bucks with them and also earn
Yeah.
equity. So I was like, sure, no, especially never been a host, but why not? It'll be fun, and been doing it ever since, man. I absolutely love it.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know the backstory and everything. When I was a guest, it's that's pretty awesome. And the course, like, what's in, like, what materials in it? Is it teaching people, like, here's how to start a business, here's how to know, like, learn skills, get customers, or like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
So the Build My Money Machine. So we launched that last October. I'm not sure if the doors are open right now because we had
Okay.
one cohort come in, and it was more of kind of the absolute basics, like mindset and getting into the mindset of becoming an entrepreneur. Because I don't know about you, Phil, but there's so many things that if you are not, you weren't naturally born into entrepreneurship, but you want to be one, and you got that bug, there's so many things that you kind of have to break down based on the way a lot of us were raised and a lot of the way our country is. Like it, you
Yeah.
know, back in the 18 and early 1900s, it was like 80% of Americans were entrepreneurs. They owned businesses. Now
Yes.
it's like what is it, 10%, 6 to 10%, something like
Yes.
that. There are very few entrepreneurs out there, but it's having a massive renaissance. So, in order to get to that stage, there's a lot of deconstruction in the old noggin that needs to happen, and that's kind of what Build My Money Machine initially starts to do. And we're in the process of talking about possible membership, maybe a couple
Hmm.
different options for increasing our program offerings. I've been talking with my partner Justin on that. So we got some cool things in the works, but still our big focus right now is still the podcast.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Even eventually, like, having some coaches with business owners and stuff. But
Yep.
the whole, go to school, get good grades, all that is, like, it's okay for the right people, but also it's not right for some people. And I think that a lot of people, like me, I didn't know that there was a different way or any
Same.
other opportunities, right? It's just like this is
Yeah,
the
dude.
path that, like, everyone does, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You go to high school, you go to, like your parents say, go to college, or even if you don't, they're like, well, go get a job. And it's like,
Yeah,
man, I told you earlier on the show, I was doing lawn care and I was an entrepreneur and didn't know it. I,
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought I was just screwing around making money to, I don't know, blow on, smoothies. Right.
yeah,
And if someone had told me back then when I was 18, like, hey, maybe instead of going into debt to go to college, you've got like 15 people paying you good money for all this lawn care stuff. I don't know. What do you think about maybe making a business out of that? And
yeah,
honestly, I probably would have been like, well, that's crazy. I can't do that. Why?
yeah,
Like, no one's ever told me that, but why would I think that? But then the
yeah.
other half is like, maybe I am an entrepreneur. Maybe I should get into that. So it's, yeah, I like my journey. I had a lot of mindset shifts that I had to go through, and through the school of
Mhm.
hard knocks and getting into entrepreneurship, but
Yeah.
mostly learning at jobs that I hated.
This is a really important point, and I think that it ties this all together is that, like, I used to be very self-conscious about sharing my journey as an entrepreneur, the highs, the lows, successes, and all this stuff. But when you think back when you're 18, like, if you would have seen a reel or something on social media about, like, wow, this person actually did this thing. I think for business owners, we get a little bit worried about, oh, we're just boasting or gloating or about like, I don't want to come off
Hmm.
as that guy or that woman, whatever. But I think there's a layer to sharing to then motivate other people to do things that like this is possible and this can be all good.
Yep.
And I think hopefully that will help kind of break people's mindset down that like creating content is not just to glorify yourself and be all this great stuff. It's to help other people.
Exactly, dude. And it's funny. I was just listening to Cody Sanchez on the Micro podcast
Yes.
yesterday, and she was talking about how she had the same thing when she started out. She's like, I was afraid to document and share because it felt like it was gloating. I had been doing really well, but at the same time, she was like, I decided to work against that and to share everything and talk about what we're doing and get very detailed and in depth because there's somebody out there who can learn from my experience. And like her goal is to make 1 million entrepreneurs or business owners, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And she said, if I don't share, I'm doing people a disservice. She said, there's so many entrepreneurs out there who just go about their business, making millions of dollars, doing really well, but nobody would know it. And
Yeah.
that's okay. You don't have to
Yeah. It's
share,
okay.
but think about all that knowledge and all that experience you have that could inspire someone who may have otherwise not been inspired to go start a business. Right? It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Brian, this has been great, man. I appreciate the transparency and just the communication, like with, your open book, which I really appreciate that. So where should
Yeah.
people go to learn about you, your business, the podcast, all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check out Ricochet Digital Marketing. We're getting bigger and we're growing really quick. There's actually going to be a rebrand coming up, but for now it's ricochetdm.com. So RICOCHETD is in digital, M is in marketing.com. You can check us out there. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's kind of my most trafficked social media network, if you will. And then on Millionaire University, check us out, millionaireuniversity.com. And then on any podcast player you're on, just look up Millionaire University, and we bring on awesome entrepreneurs like Phil, and we chop it up about entrepreneurship, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Brian. Appreciate everything.
My pleasure, Phil. Thanks for having me, man.
Sir.